mind.
But do you see, or maybe I'm not explaining myself clearly, Alex, do you see that if evolution has given you your moral beliefs, it's given you all of your beliefs, including the idea that evolution has given your moral beliefs? So why should you believe it? It's either random on evolution or it's designed.
But,
so,
I mean,
if it's designed, you can trust it. If it's random, you can't. So, again, if all your thoughts are the result of the laws of physics, why should you believe any of them?
Well, I might be talking out my hind here, but is that not similar to saying, well, the reason that you're saying the reason I got from evolution, I also got everything else from evolution, so why should I trust it? Right. Well, the reason that you got from God, you also got everything else from God, so why should you trust God?
Well, because God has given us the rational ability to make reasonable claims or discover truth about reality.
Hasn't evolution given me the rational ability to uncover truths about reality as well? What's the difference?
Because our minds are trustworthy if they're made in the image of the great mind. Why would they be trustworthy if they're a product of random forces over which we have...
How do you know it's a great mind unless the great mind has instilled that reason within you to reason that it is a great mind?
Because I'm going from effect to cause.
Right.
If I have
by using reason.
Yes, by using reason.
God gave you. So you're using the reason that God gave you to prove the reason
that
of God.
God is the ontological foundation of the laws of logic, which allows us then to discover truths about reality.
What I'm saying is that you seem to be doing the same thing as I am. You're saying God is giving you this reason to reason that God is the most reasonable being.
God has given us the tools of reason, which are objective, they're immaterial, and he's given us the free will to either follow him or reject him based upon what we learn about reality and whether or not we want to follow him or reject
as I
him.
understand Frank's argument, it's one of those, what's the best explanation? We both acknowledge we are completely dependent on these laws of logic, this rational capacity we all have. Can we explain such a thing on a naturalistic worldview, or is it better explained on a theistic worldview? And obviously Frank's view is, yes, it makes sense that we would be able to trust our rational abilities if there is a rational mind behind the universe.
I think
whereas
it's easier to
in a non-rational universe, a non-rational process by which we came to be, there's no fundamental reason to assume that we are aimed at knowing right from wrong, truth and falsity.
But you do have to make certain assumptions.
Yeah.
Like it does frustrate me that I will never know if I exist.
Yeah.
That gets on my nerves. I have to tell you.
Who's asking the question?
It really does. It really gets on my nerves.
Who's wondering now?
Precisely. This sort of stuff really gets on my nerves. But they are just unanswerable.
Gets on whose nerves? What do you mean?
Well, precisely. But these are just sort of pedantic little things that gnaw away at your mind.
I don't think they're
and
pedantic.
Something like reason. I submit that, okay, you could make the argument that if reason comes from evolution, how can we use that to then reason about evolution? Sure, but I'm saying, is that not the same thing with God?
No, because God is a rational creature, or not creature, he's the ground of rationality.
Says who?
Gives rational, because we're reasoning from our rationality back to
using the
cause.
reason that came from where?
Well, of course, his ontological nature is given us these laws of logic to discover truth.
How do you know that? Through reason.
Right. You can't defend reason by reason because that would be circular.
Precisely.
Right. But what we're saying is once we have reason, what better grounds it? Naturalism, which couldn't explain the laws of logic to begin with, or a mind whose very essence grounds these laws.
What you've just said is you said, okay, so we assume that reason exists. What's the best grounding? When I give you a grounding, you then say, but how do you know that reason even exists? How can you say that reason exists if it's just a process of this? So I could put the same thing to you. I could say, if reason does exist, what's the best grounding? And you say God. And then I could say the same thing and say, well, if you're getting that reason from God, how can you use that reason to then prove God?